Underdog. Damn. Unleash the power.
Jayson Waller here, True Underdog Podcast. All the underdogs out there listening, check us out on iHeart, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, CastBox, YouTube, you name it. Your mama names it. That's where we're at. I got John LeBlanc, the co-host. How you doing, John?
Doing great. How are you doing today? Happy New Year.
Bam! Happy New Year, baby. I am Jack 2021. Sayonara, kiss our ass 2020. We are done with you. Hit the road, baby. We're moving up to bigger and better things. We're climbing those stairs to get the hell off of 2020, dude. I am done with that year. Excited about the new year. How about that? I'll say we had a director's call, and I told everybody they're going to come up with their goals, including yourself. You know, whatever we didn't accomplish in 2020, we need to focus and stick that to the top of the game for 2021. We got to be razor sharp. We got to be excited. We got to be down and dirty. You got to plan. You got to be able to be strong, and everything that we overcame and everything that we were able to bust through last year and still survive, which everyone listening, 100% survival rate. Then now here we are, 2021. The time is now. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, do you feel like 2020 shuts off with just a switch, or is it going to be a slow roll? Is it just a fresh start?
Well, for me, I'm going to look at it as a damn switch, right? I mean, obviously half the world's still closed. I'm in Michigan, and the governor here is so sweet that she shuts everybody down. And then when I was in Florida, everything was open. So I don't know. That is going to suck, but as long as you don't let that shit infiltrate your brain and you just focus on what you can control, I think it could be a light switch. For me, it's a light switch. I made some personal moves, like some promises and some changes, and I'm going to work on some business moves and changes, and I'm going to try to stay structured. I'm going to try to stay as accountable as I can. I don't want to be one of those, this is my New Year's resolution that lasts like 6 weeks. I want to be grinding and dirty. And I know you were busting my ass a minute ago. I was eating that Krispy Kreme donut. And I said, my goal is to lose some weight this year. But let me tell you something. That's not my top goal. So I'm going to get to that part in a minute. I got other goals this year, and I'm working on those first. I love my Krispy Kreme donuts, dog.
What is your top goal? If that's going to be pushed way down since you're eating donuts right now, what's your top 1 or 2 goals?
Well, I am intermittent fasting, John. Okay, I fasted for 17 hours. I can eat what the fuck I want, John.
Man. Okay,
right?
That's fair.
Well, you told me I can't play for a tie, though. That's playing for a tie, right? I'm not losing any weight when I fast and eat that shit.
It's not working for you.
I know, dude. I stay the same. I'll lose 4 or 5 pounds during the week, and I'll gain it back on the weekend. I shit you not. That's how that goes. And then I lose 4 or 5 pounds, and then I gain it back. Playing for, and I don't like ties, dude. I like to win.
Jayson Waller is a winner. You like to win.
I've had losses, but I like to win. All right, I'm going to work on that. My biggest goal for 2021, I think right now, is really to build stability and healthy growth for our company and my family, right? Because we might be doing some moving here. We might move from the North Carolina residence to Florida and then come back to Michigan. So really focusing on stability. Yeah.
What is this
Taxes,
all about?
Baby. Taxes, weather, lots of moving pieces, okay? So, I'll still be in Michigan.
North Carolina?
No, look, we just bought a house there. My wife, she flip-flops a lot, right? You flip a damn coin. She wants to live here. She doesn't want to live here. God bless her. But look, I never wanted to buy that house, and my head was in the clouds dealing with other shit. Now I've come to my senses. The bottom line is selling the damn house in NC, probably moving to Florida part-time for probably more than 6 months, probably, 7-8 months in Florida, 4 or 5 months in Michigan. That's going to be the deal. Taxes, dude, and better weather. I was there for a week. I'm like, I can do this every day. You get 0 state taxes,
dude.
In
North Carolina?
Well,
Wow.
It's a little bit higher than Michigan by like 1%. So
damn.
0, baby.
Wow.
Nobody just.
All right. Well,
I don't even like
Florida
the government. The government didn't go my way this election. Fuck, I want to pay less money. What do you want to do, John?
So you're making moves.
I'm making money moves, baby. Okay. I'm making personal moves, business moves, money moves, tax moves, whatever move I can make. And look, to be honest, dude, we wanted to do the North Carolina thing, and we were going to do it. We bought the house, but Florida just seems like a better lifestyle, and there's a couple great schools there. So living there and then coming back to Michigan in the summertime and, for football is perfect. It's perfect. Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton area, something like that. We'll look. Still looking. Now, back to the other goal. The other goal I'm working on. Yeah, there is. I went to that one. You know what they told me? Because I have a platinum membership at the one in Birmingham. Or Diamond, whatever the highest one is. And I walked in and I'm like, yeah, here's my pass. Bing. I'm ready to go into the Boca Raton one. And the lady goes, hold on. You have to pay an upgrade. I said, upgrade? I have the highest membership you can have. She said, well, it's not higher than ours. And I said, it's Birmingham, Michigan. I've got the best one you can have. She said, no, it's not higher than ours. I was like, well, that's some shit right there. Because I was told it was the best one. She's like, I'm going to let it slide today. I'm like, okay.
That's funny. I didn't know there was a higher one. I've been out of the game for a while.
I think they're lying. I think that most people, because there's only like 5 higher ones, or 5 equal diamond ones, or whatever it is. I think that most people always have to upgrade. So she's assuming, right? That's what I think. I think she's wrong.
Oh,
my theory.
Right.
Yeah, whatever. So back to the goals.
What are we getting into?
And then another goal I'm going to work on. Well, I want to talk about that last part of that goal is what I really want to focus on is less explosions, and not in a bad way, but like I get fired up. I go 1, 2, 3, 10. What's up? Right? I want to be like, hey, listen, John, you didn't do what you're supposed to do. I'm writing you up. And then come back to you. Hey, John, you didn't do your job. I'm letting you go. There's no reason for me to yell and shout and kick the door in. It's just no reason. So I'm going to focus on faster actions, less talk. That's my goal for 2021.
It's a good parenting tip too.
Yeah, it is. I got to do that at home because then you're screaming. It's like, what does that gain? Just give me your phone. You're grounded. Have a good night.
Right. Like, why do I have to tell my kids 5 times to do something? All I have to do is just take some action behind it, right? Like, they know I'm going to just continue to tell them.
And they push the envelope until you don't. So the more that you don't and you have action, the less that happens. It's like if we get pulled over all the time and they only give warnings in the city, and we don't care if we're breaking the law. But if they take you to jail or take your license, you're like, I ain't driving that fast anymore. I'm done with that. You got to have some consequences.
Ride the straight and narrow.
That's right. No popo's getting me. So I want to talk about fear, man. Let's talk about, 2020. I think the what I would, call 2020. The word that comes to mind first for me is fear. You agree?
I agree.
Yeah, fear. I've had some fearful moments.
What was scary about 2020?
Worried about originally catching corona. Understanding what it was. The media, really scares you. The unknown. None of us have lived through anything like this. The unknown. It's still unknown, but I feel better about things. But I think that was fearful. The whole year was eerie, right?
So eerie. So weird. But, I mean, we had a banner of a year.
We did. At the business standpoint, we were able to see an opportunity there where people didn't want to be without power. And we were able to, really double our size and double our volume during the pandemic because people, people don't like the utility companies. Sorry, utility companies. People just don't like you guys. You charge higher rates. Your power always goes out. So they call us and we're there to help them out and give them a flat rate for solar. They can finance and the power doesn't go out. So, it's a win-win.
What would you say your biggest fear is moving into 2021, if you have one?
I think the biggest fear is, we're in waters that are unknown again, right? Well, I think we finished the year with like 350 million or 330 million in revenue. And, when you're playing, the bigger the machine is, bam, build a machine, believe a mission, build a movement, whatever it is, you get into territories you're not used to. So bigger problems arise, right? You get a bigger target on your head as a company or an individual. And so I think the fear is that, we got to focus on stability. We got to focus on, reorganizing the company and just really tightening the ship. When you grow, you grow, but you're sloppy, right? You got loose ends. Customer service has some bumps and installations has some bumps and, sales has some, but whatever it is, I don't want to stop growing because I believe rocket ship, dude, that's the way to go. But we went really, really, really fast from like April to October. And, the last 2 months, we've kind of tightened it up a little bit. And I think we'll do that again until we get to March, and then it'll be skyrocket again. And I think that that's what we got to focus on, is it's a balance, because sometimes you can grow too fast. And I love growing, but we did have some hiccups with growing pains that I want to do a better job. Everything that we may have struggled with in 2020, I want us to learn from and do better in 2021 as we continue to grow.
Would you say that's the biggest thing you learned in 2020? I mean, with the exponential growth that we had, I mean, I think just seeing it, being inside also, like we had some serious growing pains. Like that's probably one of the biggest hard things about Powerhome is just the growing pains that we've had. So would you say that's the one thing that you learned or the biggest takeaway from 2020? Or is there other things that you learned from some of your failures moving through 2020 and going into 2021?
I think that was the biggest. Obviously, there was several more. How we operate and grow our concierge customer service department. Some leadership moves we had to make as an organization. You learn that sometimes the company grows faster than the individuals that are part of the the leadership team. So we have to, like you and your team, have to come in and help train and implement leadership skills where they can keep up the pace with the company, or we have to make a move. And I think that it's the same for me. I'm having to challenge myself every single day to learn more, and I do not know everything. I am still learning. I've got a CEO coach. I've got another friend that's like a coach. I got another guy that's wanting to be a coach. I'm picking brains. I'm asking questions. I'm trying to learn every day, and I think that everybody in our organization is also trying to learn. We put some good book clubs together and different things that are helping people out with some organization. So I think the biggest thing is the growing pains, but also making sure we have the right leaders that can grow. When I look at someone, John, right, wrong, or indifferent, I look at them and I go, well, here's their grade now. It's like a football draft pick. I might look at you, John, and say, you're an 85, but your raw talent can get you to 94. I can live with you being 85, but imagine if I groom you to be a 94. And then there's some people you can look at and you're like, well, you're an 80 and you're already capped. So you're good for maybe this role, but there's no growth with you, dude. You got to stay in a role like this. I look at folks that way. I don't know why. I have. It's not personal. I look at it, and I'm wrong sometimes. I'm right more than I'm wrong, but I'm wrong sometimes. And we've got certain people that got some high-end potential, and we've got some that are capped. And so you got to be able, to make moves without putting emotion in it. What is best for the majority? The majority is our company, right? We have 1,700 strong. So whatever's best for 851 people, that's what I care about. Not 849. I mean, it's 850. The majority. What can we do that's best for the most of our brand, most of our company? And those are the kind of decisions we always have to make.
Yeah, and I think one of the coolest things you touched on earlier is we've got some folks that have been able to step up. You use yourself as an example, right? So pioneering this massive company, pioneering a management position, a supervisor position, a leadership position, and people stepping into those positions and they're not ready. And they either sink or swim. And we've had a lot of folks step up and simply just swim their ass off. And that's the coolest thing about Powerhome and what's inside. However, sometimes they do, stall out and sink a little, and we may have another position for them or whatever.
And you're right. We've had a lot of swimmers this year, dude. A lot of swimmers. I mean, not many have drowned. And I still believe, and I tell people, I get on a lot of podcasts lately. I get interviewed lately, and I say 80-20 is real. Like you have to be replacing 20% of your staff all the time. And a lot of people, most people in an organization have a shelf life. People don't want to believe that. They're like, no way. Yeah, dude, you gotta get real. Yeah, they do. And that's okay. As long as they're giving you 100%, you're paying them 100%, they can keep that shelf life till they're ready to expire. But there'll be a time that they do. Things happen. They want different things. Things clash. You grow, they grow, whatever. It happens. We've had great people leave because they hit a wall. There's no more growth for them in the company. We've had great people stay and continue to grow and take. I mean, what's really cool is we look at people. in our company that are directors that started on the bottom, literally less than 2 or 3 years ago. So just amazing. And I tell listeners out there and managers out there and owners out there and entrepreneurs out there, like, you got to look at someone and you got to be real with yourself and real with them. Where are they at and where can they get to? And I know my grade isn't great. I think it's a lot better as a CEO now than it was last year and better than the year before. But I like to believe that I've got some major raw talent that I can evolve. But I've got a long way to go. I won't give myself a grade, but I'll tell you, I could always do better. And I look at people. There's a lot of people that they're able to. Their raw talent is unlimited. I mean, they literally can evolve. And there's some people that can't. And as long as you utilize those skill sets that they have, you're okay. We've had people change positions and move roles, and they're very successful. You got to find the talents of people and what gets them going. What's their why? How do we get them there? That's what it's really about. But then you get some people, it's just a job, and they end up falling in that 20%, and that's okay. You got to put both seats in the stands. It's okay.
Yeah, you're right. And for the listeners out there too, right? Like new year, new you. We talk about confidence all the time, but also, to relate it back to the episode, it's scary to step in a new role. It's the fear of the unknown. Like, are you going to make it? And you exercise that probably every day, if not every week, like encountering situations with this company that you have to take care of thousands of folks and families, and you continue to swim. And I think there's a lot of folks out there that have they need that nudge. And I'm telling you, just do it, right? Like, I'll use myself as an example. I took a leap of faith into the unknown, right? I did a little bit of it at my last job, but it worked out really well. Certainly happy with it. But, if you're getting that nudge, just do it. Just you might sink, and that's okay. You learn from it. We talk about this all the time, but just what are some scary moments, maybe as you reflect on 2020, that we talk about COVID, we talked about certain big things, but maybe crucial conversations, crucial things that you're like, damn, I don't know if I can handle this. What am I going to do?
Well, in a business standpoint, the end of 15 going into 16, at Powerhome, I didn't get a paycheck till, 22 months after we opened. So that was hard. And that, after the first year where we lost money and I put all the money I made in the home security business back in and told my wife we're going to sell our house. I mean, we almost closed the doors. That was the scariest thing. When your back is against the wall, a lot of people, most people, they throw the white flag and they quit, dude. They are scared of the fight. They are scared to climb those steps because they fell down and their legs hurt and there's bruises on their arms and hands, and they're scared to climb their ass back up the stairs. And I'm not. I am DTF. And for the listeners, that's down to fight. So don't get your head in the gutter. Okay. Every single time I am going to fight until they yank me the hell out of somewhere. And that was a scary moment that, I never want to feel that again. I never want to have to tell my family I'm selling our home. I'm not making a paycheck. I never want to have to lay off and get rid of a lot of people. All those that we got rid of at that time needed to go, but there's nothing like coming in and firing 80% of your staff and rebuilding. That's scary. 20% is healthy, 80% not so good. So I had to do that and believe. That was the scariest moment, 15 to 16. And then it got better 16 to 17, and then the sky's the limit. On a personal note, I've had many, but one that comes to mind since the election's over, and I can say it now, I voted for Trump, so sorry if you don't like me for that. I voted for Trump. I do think he's somewhat of a narcissist, and I got to meet him. I think he means well, but he's full of shit. But I truly think he was good for most people and for people to make money and for people to pay less taxes. And I think that he was the first politician in a long time to do things he said he would do. I don't think he's a racist. I think he's insensitive, and I've got a story to share that. So listeners, listen up, okay? So during the 17 year, after the 17 year going into 18, he got elected in 16, right? Okay. So this was during, this was in the 18 year. His son used to run a neighborhood called Trump International in Mooresville, North Carolina, where I used to live. And I never really met his son, but I knew people that knew him, and they knew our story. They knew that we almost went out of business. And when Trump changed the tariffs on China, and we switched to American-made panels before he did that, we doubled in size. And a lot of solar companies went out of business, and we doubled in size because we went to American-made panels. You know, it cost a little more. It was a better product. We told the customers, you're getting a better product. Here it is. And we crushed it. Well, that story took off locally in North Carolina. So in 18, I got an invite to go to Mar-a-Lago, Kevin and I, to go see Trump talk. And this was one of his, you know, this is the other thing I don't like about him. And I could say this because he's on his way out, is he likes to pat himself on the back way too much. Like, you come on. So that kind of rubbed me wrong, because he was always doing these victory rallies. It's like, dude, you won like almost 2 years ago. Why are you doing a victory rally? I understand now because he was building up bank to try to get reelected. But I'm not a politics guy. I don't know. I don't understand how all that works. I'm learning. But we're like, hell yeah, we get to meet the president. Let's go. So we fly to Mar-a-Lago. We are jacked up. Okay. It's an 18. We get there, we go through security. I am Facebook Live in it. Hey guys, Jayson Waller here, Powerhome Solar. Got Kevin with me. We're going to see President Trump. And we were told he was going to mention at this private table event to donators at the event, he was going to talk about, you know, tariffs and China and solar and Powerhome. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I am going to get on film Mr. President Trump literally saying Powerhome Solar. This is going to be exciting, right? So this was the first time I got to go to a Trump thing. I did recently in September, did a roundtable, got to talk to him. But this time, we show up at the event. There's probably 150 people there, maybe. That's it. Small. And we're mingling, and we meet these two very nice Muslim guys from Connecticut. And the reason I bring this up is this is the insensitive part of Trump. So everybody listen up. So they had turbans on their head, and they were Muslim, and but they were from Connecticut. They were the biggest Trump supporters I've ever met in my entire life, John. I mean, they were like, Trump is this and Trump is that. We've been praying. I mean, they loved Trump. I was like, whoa. Okay, I like him. I don't love this guy like that. He's not the world-changing dude, right? And this was in 18. He was like fresh in it, and there was accused all the stuff, right? Well, the reason this is important is he's getting ready to come out, and we are all standing in line. Like, not in line, it's like a room, and I am one row. I'm second row. I can see Trump. He's probably 15 feet away from me. Next to me are those two guys from Connecticut, and Kevin's on my left. I take my cell phone like this, and I do one of these, and I'm Facebook Live in this bad boy as he's speaking. Lady comes up to me. Sir, you need to turn that off. My bad. She walks away. I ain't turning that shit off. He's going to say Powerhome Solar. Filming it again. Sir, I'm sorry. She walks away. Do it again. My battery's low. Stay with me, John. It's filming it. Trump goes on, listen, I will tell you, Trump changes subject so fast because he gets his own way. So he's going down this whole thing, talking about tariffs and talking about steel and talking about this and talking about China. And then he goes back, he's talking about India. And while he's talking about India and he's getting ready to go back to China. And so we're like, it's coming. He goes, and did you hear that the India prime minister wants to be president or prime minister for life? He said, could you imagine if I did that? Do you imagine if I were to do that, they would, dude, the world would have, this is crazy that they want to do that. Trump wants to be president for life. Imagine that. That is crazy and absurd. We got to stop them from doing it. Because, by the way, are you two from India? And he pointed to those two guys. And I was like, oh. And they said, no, sir, we're from Connecticut. He's like, I love Connecticut. Well, da-da-da-da. So he talks to him for another minute. And then my phone dies. I'm like, oh, stay with me. So then he talks about India and then he talks about steel. He never went there. Finished his speech and he's done. Like, okay. So he wasn't racist. He was insensitive, right? So he basically stereotyped, oh, you're from India. You got turbans, right? That's what he pulled. Wrong, but not the end of the world. But he liked them. They were chatting. He talked to them for like 3 minutes. It's great. And he was like, oh, where are you from? They were talking all kinds of things. Fast forward. We fly back. This is important because this is where the fear kicks in. I get home. That night I get an NBC, not local, a national NBC reporter, message me on Facebook and say, Jayson, can I have your permission to share your Trump video? And my stomach dropped and I go, oh boy, I'm going to get in trouble. No. So I deleted it and I told her no. And I was freaking out, right? I was like, oh my goodness. The next morning, I had to get on a plane and fly to Nevada. We call it Nevada because it sounds nicer than Vegas. Vegas sounds really party. We were going to Nevada for a show, okay? For a solar show. So Kevin goes to pick me up. I'm going to be brutally honest on this. And so I apologize to those on this, that know me and heard this story before. I'm just going to be up front. So me and my wife were fighting really, really bad that day. It was really bad. And Kevin picks me up. See, I'm human. I have shit too. I have problems just like y'all. And Kevin picks me up and we get in the truck and we get on the plane. And I was telling him about the NBC reporter. He's like, holy shit. I said, I know. He's like, dude, that's not good. I'm like, I know. On the way, right when we get to the airport, we see the news while we're sitting there. NBC comes on the news and says, President Trump is trying to be president for life. He says at an event yesterday at Mar-a-Lago. Like, that's not what he said. So the news is losing it. You see all these reporters from CNN, NBC, all of them. Trump's trying to be president for life. That's not what he said. I was there. He was mocking what the India prime minister was saying and wanted to do. I'm like, oh my gosh. I hope that's not because of us. Like, because of me. I'm freaking out. Like, oh my gosh, this is bad. We get on the plane. It's about a 4.5 hour flight to Nevada. We're about 3 hours in. Every time Kevin and I fly, we try to be in the same two seats, 1A and 1D, right there to the left, front row. I'd like to see who's coming in. I'd like to see the X door. That's just how I roll. Kevin's next to me in the window. It's just what we do. I'm sitting there, John, and all of a sudden you hear a click, click, loud. Stewardess is probably about 27 years old, and the other stewardess about 50-something years old. There's two of them. 57-year-old one walks up, and the 27-year-old walks across where where I can't see around the corner. And she's looking at something, and then she comes back and she grabs the phone. And then she's on the phone, and then as she hangs up, she's starting to tear up and cry. And the 50-something-year-old, the older stewardess goes, you need to calm down and you need to say it. And she's like, I can't believe this is happening. Oh my goodness. And she's like, no, you need to tell everybody now. Relax and calm down now. And they're arguing. I said, what the hell's going on? Sir, you need to be quiet. No. What are you guys talking about? Kevin's like, what are you doing? The whole time I've been texting my wife and we're arguing, by the way, like, oh yeah, blah. You know how people get, okay, well, blah, just back and forth. Okay. And Kevin's over there. Yay, Skittles and rainbows and love and life. Right. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? So then the lady's like, she's like crying. She's like losing it. She's like, God. So the older lady grabs the phone and the younger lady's sitting there crying and she can't control herself. And I'm like, this is not good. And the older lady says these words. Everybody, I need you to prepare for a crash landing. Pull out the card and please read it. We have an issue with smoke and something on the plane. We're going to prepare for a crash landing.
Oh my God.
All you hear are screams, yells. I said, what? What the fuck? I'm losing my shit. The two girls behind me are screaming, John. They're screaming. They're like 16. I'm like, oh my goodness. This guy's crying. Kevin's like, did they say? I'm like, yeah, dude, that's what they said. Hello. And I'm like, what do we do? They're like, grab your card. So we grab the card. The pilot comes on, says, stewardess, staff, please prepare in case of crash landing. We've got some smoke here in the cockpit. We're not familiar with what it is. Something's wrong. We're going to be prepare for crash landing. We're heading down to Albuquerque right now. Twice I heard prepare for crash landing, not prepare for emergency landing. It was prepare for crash landing. And I'm watching the stewardess cry. She's crying. I'm like, the stewardess is crying. Kevin and me are like, oh my gosh, we're shaking. So now I'm texting my wife. I am sorry. And we have a problem. And I'm telling her, and she's like, no way. I'm like, no, really. Kevin's texting his wife. His wife and his kids are praying. My wife is freaking out. We're texting each other. She's calling my dad. They're calling the FCTA to see what the hell's going on. All these things are going on. It was the longest 17-minute landing ever. Okay. And it's going down. You can smell a little smoke. People are crying. We're reading a card. They're making us, John, grab our ankles. You have to read the card, grab your ankles. I'm like, I ain't grabbing my ankles. And I'm texting like it's out of control. Right. I'm telling my wife, I'm sorry. I might die. I love you. I can't believe this is happening. During all of this commotion, you can't make this shit up. Kevin's like, you got to get right with God. I said, I am. And we're like, we're starting to cry, dude. It is very emotional. And he looks over at me and he goes, do you think this is because you filmed the Trump thing? And I said,
that's what I'm thinking.
And for about 3 seconds, I thought maybe that was it. And then I'm like, nah, this ain't the Clintons. We're okay. So I'm like, no, I don't think that's it. And he was serious. He was like, I think that has something to do with it. I'm like, dude, you're out of your mind. And so now all of a sudden, you hear the landing gear come out after about 10 minutes, right? And the pilot comes on and says, okay, guys, we're going to have a safe landing. The landing gear came out. There's smoke here in the cockpit. There'll be fire trucks and ambulance out there, but don't worry. We're going to pull up. You get off the plane immediately. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to land. Our gear came out. We're good to go. You hear clapping. You hear yelling. We land. It was the most emotional time I've ever had, especially traveling. We get off the plane. You can see people run off and go to a corner and start bawling. The emotions were so high. Everyone's bawling. Like, you thought life was over. You thought you would never see your kids again. I thought I was fighting with my wife. I didn't kiss my kids goodbye. Like, it was next level. We had to go get our luggage. We stayed in a hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And then we got on a plane and went to Nevada. And then let me tell you something. Everyone's like, why would you get on a plane after that? And I said, I'm not going to let fear hold me down. If that can happen to me and I can survive that, and Kevin can survive that, we can survive anything. I felt invincible. I felt like, bring it. And it turns out, here's what happened. A belt caught on fire or something in the plane and was creating smoke. A belt zapped off that they heard and that created fire into the plane. That's what we found out. So we got on a plane, and then after that, I met a couple pilots, and they told me the redundancy that planes have, that they have about 12 options for every failure. So if the landing gear wouldn't have came out when all these options, they would have went out there and used a pump to basically get them out. He's like, it is almost virtually impossible for a plane to crash. They shouldn't have said the words crash landing. They should have said emergency landing. And that's really how that should have went. And we shared that on Facebook after, and then we laugh about, did Trump have something to do with it? But he didn't. But long story short, that was one of the moments in my life where I felt like it was over. It was over. And, you have regrets, and that feeling is something I never want to feel again. I don't want to feel like I didn't live my life and I didn't say goodbye. So I'm a stickler about praying with my son at night, saying goodbye to my kids, making sure they know I love them anytime I go somewhere. Now, I feel invincible now because I think planes don't crash, cars do. So I get more nervous driving on the road or having my family drive on the road than a plane. But that was an experience that I'll never forget. And when I told Barry Sanders that, he said that was the best story he's ever heard, by the way.
That is a great story. And for someone that is such a, can I say control freak? Can I say that? I mean, you like
say whatever you want. Yeah.
To be
I'm a control freak.
Completely out of control. That had to have been awful. And the other question,
it was one of the hardest moments. Yeah.
What are you doing leaving on a flight without kissing and hugging your kids and your wife?
2 of them were at practice. My son was down the street playing. Me and the wife were arguing. I said bye and left.
Oh, God. Yeah. Don't do that. Everyone out there, don't do that.
Kids, get your ass home. I'm going on a plane now. Listen, you got to live life with no regrets. I had regrets that day. So I'm not perfect. There's a lot of days I go, man, I have regrets. I don't want to have regrets. I had a guy on a podcast not too long ago. He's the CEO of Podcast Magazine. And he wrote a book called, What Is Your What? I think I talked about it last show. And he said something that really sticks with me that I learned from him recently. And he said that there is no such thing as loss. You still win. You just get different results, right? But if you don't try, then you failed. Like there's no failure, there's no loss. It's just different results. And I just don't want to go into life in 2021 having any kind of regret, because regret is a lifetime of pain. It might be a little pain every day, but it's a lifetime of pain. Times that by every day, every week, every month, every year. That is living forever. You'll always have regret. But if you do every day without regret, dude, you're a winner. Doesn't matter about the results. You're a winner. And I believe
That's
that.
tough
And
to
so
do.
I try to
Yeah,
make sure I have no regret. It is hard. You gotta challenge yourself. I'm not
you
perfect.
do.
Many days I'm like, damn, I should, but you gotta remember, you gotta kind of tell yourself, and you gotta just, like, the more you talk about things and the more you preach about things and the more you put things in front of yourself to do that, the more you'll do it. If you don't, then you won't. And 2021 needs to be about getting things done. Don't leave anything on the table. Just get
So
it done.
true. Get it done. And that, I mean, you're an action taker, right? There's a lot of folks out there that are action takers, but there's a lot of folks out there when fear is presented, they become paralyzed. And that's a tough hurdle to overcome for those that have heard it or haven't heard it, right? False expectations appearing real. And that appeared very real in that story, or any other fear that you're going to face. But you got to walk right into that storm, right? There's a story I always keep in the back of my head. Matter of fact, the photo is on my backdrop of a buffalo, right? Cows and buffalo are similar but different, right? And I always keep this. I heard this in yoga one time. And
Okay.
a buffalo, they both identify when a storm's coming. Cows run away from the storm. And what happens is they end up running with the storm. And because they're running away, they're in the storm for a lot longer than they really need to. Buffaloes identify when a storm's coming. They start moving to it and they run right through that motherfucker. And the yoga instructor at the end of class, it was hard. We were holding a plank. We were sweating our asses off. And he goes, I got one question. I know it hurts. I know it's tough right now. But do you want to be a cow or do you want to be a fucking buffalo? I said, buffalo.
Woo! I love it. I love it. Dude, that's a great message. And that is a great quote. I need to get a picture. I love that. I've never heard that before. That's fucking awesome. I love that.
Be a buffalo.
Fucking buffalo, dude. Yeah.
Bring
the storm.
There it is.
I did a post not too long ago. Oh, it's a great one. I had a post. You need to send that to me. I had a post not too long ago that talked about the storm coming, and I wrote, they ain't got to worry about the storm. I am the fucking storm.
Yeah.
So, it's similar to that, but if you're the storm, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. But when you let other things be the storm, you're done. But when you're the storm, it's game over, dude. You got this. So same concept. I love it.
There you go.
Bam! All right. Well, that's a wrap,
great
John.
Story,
Listen,
dude. Great story.
Dude, you never heard that story. That's the best part, dude. I mean, I got to share that story. I haven't got to do that yet. Yeah. Another Trump story. So look, take it for what you want. The election's over. Let's move on. We're all family. We're all Americans. Let's go out and be the best we can. Be healthy. Be positive. Keep a great mindset. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share it with your friends. We still got our contest going out there where when you give an Apple review, you automatically are qualified to get a swag bag. Comes with a cigar. It comes with a tumbler. Comes with a hat, a shirt from True Underdog, and a bag. And then we're going to pick 3 winners for some AirPods and 1 winner for $500. So make sure you go to Apple on the podcast and make sure you give a review and share that and email it to info@TrueUnderdog. Thank you, John. Have a great night. Thank you, Underdog listeners. Bam! That concludes another episode here on True Underdog. If you're interested in hearing more, make sure you subscribe at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube channel. You can always visit TrueUnderdog.com. Subscribe to all of them. Make sure you check out our newest episodes coming out on Mondays and Thursdays. True Underdog, baby. Bam!